stand, please. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come together again today to do the business of the people. We pray for your guidance as we work through the issues that we have in front of us. We pray, Father, that you would protect those who protect us, that you would bless them and keep them safe from harm. These things, Father, we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, that's why you know, agenda. That's why I hate food. Okay. I do want to add one item to the agenda. We need to approve the capital improvement grant for the airport. We've got the final capital improvement from them, and the schedule that they're working on, we need to have it back to Croy before our next regular scheduled meeting.
Okay.
So we just need to go ahead and approve that. And I would suggest that it's in item number 1 under new business. Are there any other changes to the agenda? No, we make a motion that the agenda be approved.
The only thing, should we switch? Do you want to have the ACC conversation first before we go into budget, or?
Well, the capital improvement plan is just going to really require a motion to do it.
Okay.
I mean, we're looking at 30 seconds.
Okay. No, I just meant to move that before.
Oh,
conversation.
you weren't talking about my change.
No.
I spoke with Gary McVeigh of the Sewer and Water Authority, and he's not going to be here this morning, but there's no action that's necessary on that CDBG grant. There's no subsequent resolution that would be required from the state, so there's nothing that needs to be there, so it can be removed from the agenda.
Okay. All right. So then I will amend my motion to remove item 2 from the agenda. And also, yeah, we can move the discussion ahead of the 2020 budget. The only reason it was behind it was because we were thinking Mr. Quinn couldn't be here this soon.
Because what?
We were thinking that Mr. Quinn couldn't be here this soon.
Oh, right, that's exactly right.
So-
And he's here, so.
So we'll flip-flop that. Okay, anything else on the agenda? Then I would make a motion that it be approved with all that discussion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, well, the next item of business is citizens wishing to speak. Anybody that would like to speak on any topic? I do want to say, in terms of the Carter's Lake, I read a lot of posts on Facebook about be sure and come to the meeting for the vote. There's not going to be a vote on Carter's Lake today. We're just going to discuss some other locations that have entered into the cooperative agreement and try to get some information on that.
And I did read some too, and it did say just to come to hear further discussion from our ACCG representative, so.
And I'm not referencing those, just the ones that we're
Gotcha.
thinking there's going to be a vote today. Okay, with that said, is there anything anybody would like to comment on? Okay. We have no unfinished business, so the first item will be to approve the capital improvement plan for Gilmer County Airport, and hopefully you got my email.
I did, and I copied it, and I looked over it, and I was good with the chart.
Okay, then I will make a motion to approve it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. But I saw it.
Discussion and possible action to upgrade to the courthouse card reader system. We're getting in a pretty bad situation now. Ideally, what we want to do is budget this for 20, but the current system has gotten so bad now that from what I gather, about half the people can access and half can't. It seems to be getting worse, so we need to deal with that right away. Frank, what was the cost on that you were talking?
In round figures, it's $16,000 for the software update, some installation of some hardware in various locations to enable it to communicate over our current network. And that about covers all, and the labor to install all this stuff. And then there's about $1,800 more dollars will have to be spent for a computer to operate as a server. And essentially, so you're looking at round figures about $18,000 altogether. Everything is 16.
Okay.
18,000 max?
Yeah, maximum.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't recall the exact numbers, but
But
I know that the software upgrade, the smart cards that they have to install at the various locations where all the readers live.
Yeah.
That's pretty close to correct.
So 18 would be a maximum.
Yeah, that'd be the high side.
Okay.
Because I remember it's like $1,800 for the computer server, the monitor, and
Yeah.
all the junk comes with it. And then the other large chunk was for the software and the other devices and labor and all that stuff.
Any questions or comments on the need for it?
No, I understand that's an absolute need, and
Oh, yeah.
that prevents us from replacing the whole thing.
Yeah, because that's
It's just-
hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right,
Yeah.
so that's much better.
So, that being the case, then I would make a motion, we do a budget amendment to approve that for that purpose. And that this money comes from the capital improvement fund that we have set aside for courthouse, for county buildings.
In the 2019 budget.
19, yes.
Okay.
Because this is something that, we originally wanted to do 20, but this really came right
Second.
now. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. If y'all go ahead and get started on that, then we're good.
Thank you.
All right, so that brings us to discussion and review with ACCG, Corps of Engineers, about other counties that have entered into cooperative agreements. Who do we want to start with?
Well, I'd like to introduce Mike O'Quinn. I met him at an ACCG conference and training for intergovernmental agreements was the exact class. Actually met him at the conference and then we had more discussion at the class. We were fortunate that he was sitting in. He's an advisor for ACCG. That is Association of County Commissioners in Georgia. If you're not familiar, that's a source that we look to quite a bit for guidance and education and keeping us up to date on issues throughout the state and even our region in the Southeast. Mike is I don't want to say a former attorney, because you're probably still an attorney.
Still a lawyer, just don't go to court anymore.
Right. But he's an advisor that we are fortunate in this county to not have to pay someone additional money to come. We are part of ACCG, so we are fortunate to utilize his sources and his knowledge in this discussion. So, Mike, if you'd kind of share with us what you found. Absolutely. Come in here.
I don't mind.
Too much.
Too hard. No.
Good morning, thank you for inviting me up here. And it's really my pleasure. This is a subject that I have a real personal interest in because I like the camp. I've been to Ball Mountain and I've been to the other campgrounds I'm going to talk to you about in a minute as a consumer, as a user. And let me just start by saying the ACCG is very glad to assist your county in any way we can with this. We don't take position about whether you should or should not do this. That's your call. But we want to offer our assistance and helping any way we can. Really, the main point I wanted to bring to y'all this morning is that should you do this, you won't be the only county in Georgia that's ventured into this area. There may be more, but I know personally of 2 other counties in Georgia that have taken over the operation of a Corps of Engineer campground on a lake. In McDuffie County, which is almost to Augusta, out I-20, the county seat is Thompson. They have their county borders, what we call Clark Hill Lake. The Corps calls it Strong Thurman Lake, but we call it, on the Georgia side, it's Clark Hill. And about 3 years ago, McDuffie County took over a Corps campground called Raysville that had been closed and shuttered and had been not been in use for a while. And their county manager over there is a fellow named David Crawley. And David made it sort of a personal goal of his to get that campground reopened. He actually put a camper of his own in there and lived there for a while and cut wood and trim bushes and did a lot of manual labor himself to get that part back open. It's been in operation now for about three years. Haven't seen a budget to know the exact dollars and cents, but David has reported to me that they bring in more than they spend. And in fact, they are looking now at taking over a second campground called Big Heart. It's also outside of Thompson. And I would point out to you that Duffy is smaller than Gilmer in terms of population. It's got a population of about 21,000. So it's a little smaller. But David is an excellent resource. And Commissioner Ferguson's talked to me about this, and he has offered to give us any kind of assistance with background information that might be helpful. The other county that has taken over a Corps campground is Bartow, and that's on Lake Allatoona. They've taken over a campground called Clark Creek, and it too had been closed and allowed to get sort of overgrown and unkempt, but the county came in and cleaned it up and got it back in operation. The county manager there is named Peter Olson, and I've had conversations with Peter about his experience at that park. They too have been successful enough that they're now about to acquire a second campground called McKinney on Lake Allatoona. Now, Bartow obviously is much bigger than Gilmer. It's 100,000, 102,000 people, so it's obviously got a lot of resources. But I think it's noteworthy that you've got a county smaller that's been able to do it, a county larger that's been able to do it. And from what I understand, the reason that these counties are able to operate these campgrounds without going negative financially is because they're able to use their county employees to maintain the facilities rather than hire private contractors at much higher wages, which is what the Corps, as I understand it, presently does. That's where you make, that's where the difference is between profitable and not profitable. I have personally camped at both of those campgrounds, Blaisdell and Clark Creek. And I've camped at Dole Mountain, I've camped at other Corps parks. And I will tell you, I can't tell the difference. I can't tell the difference between the county's operation of the park and the Corps. They just look and feel the same. The only difference at Raysville is they don't keep an attendant at the gatehouse. If you drive in, you don't stop at the gatehouse like you do every other park. But they do have a camp host that lives on site, and he's in a golf cart, and you don't come into the place without him knowing that he's going to find out what's going on here. So that's the only difference. At Clark Creek, they do keep the gatehouse man, with volunteers, as well as camp runners. So, both McDuffie and Arto are using a more traditional lease agreement with the Corps. No one in Georgia, to my knowledge, has gone into this cooperative management agreement arrangement yet with the Corps. I was talked to a man named Aaron Wahus, who's over, now he's over Lake Hartwood, what would you call it, area for the Corps. He had been over Clark Hill Lake. And he told me that, to his knowledge, no one in Georgia yet has tried the cooperative management agreement. But, and I really don't want to get too deep into the weeds, and y'all may need to correct me on this, but as I understand the difference, if you do a lease, you're responsible for more maintenance, more big, possibly big ticket item maintenance. But you have more flexibility in how you can use the park, and you can have like bass tournaments and things that would, festivals that might bring in additional revenue. If you do the cooperative management agreement, the Corps, and it's all in the details, so an agreement is yet to be drawn up, the Corps would take on more responsibility for maintenance of the bigger expenses, but you're limited to charging what's currently being charged out there, and nothing new could venture out in new sources of revenue. Am I saying that basically right?
That's not necessarily correct.
Okay, well, maybe it's
So
better, but I.
you can have bass tournaments. We currently, last year we had Bass Masters, held one of their qualifying tournaments on the project. So it depends on the event that you're having.
Would that allow the county to bring in more revenue?
It would, but it still has to be spent back on the project, or an area in which it is collected.
Okay.
So that doesn't, they can have a festival out there. Under the cooperative management, it would just be done through a special activity permit. So those things are allowable, but things like concessions, there are caveats put on those types of things. Like they can sell firewood under the cooperative agreement, but they can't necessarily put up vending machines. They would still have to go through I believe it's the Institute for the Deaf and Blind. That has to be the first choice, whereas if they were leasing, they could go to Coke, Pepsi, RC Cola.
Right.
Directly, and so there's different caveats, but it really depends on the activity.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. So theoretically, they could have, say, a fishing tournament and charge an extra fee for participation. And but it has to be spent on the park maintenance.
Well,
The direct income would have to be spent on the department maintenance.
so the fees collected, and I've learned that there, for the non-fee rec leagues, there's still no profit making under those leases. Those funds have to be spent in that area,
Right.
so it's not like the county can line their pockets with it, which is something different that I learned, because the original real estate person told me that anything extra was the county's to spend as they see fit, and that supervisor has now told me that that is incorrect.
Okay.
So they're very similar. You do have more leeway into the fees that you want to charge under a lease. I don't get to say in the hours that you want to spend. They can say that they want to set up a concession out there, and that's between them and real estate. My opinion is asked, but I don't necessarily get a say in it. But again, the biggest difference is that the county under a lease becomes responsible for everything.
The example Aaron and I talked about was if toilet, it could be crass, but if the bathhouse backs up under either agreement, the county would, that would be routine maintenance the county would do.
That's only if we have, under the cooperative agreement, if we have said that the county is going to handle routine maintenance. There are certain things that they have to do,
Right.
like collect fees, they have to collect the fees. But
But you said like if the whole septic system fails,
then the court would handle
under,
it.
under your cooperative agreement, the court would fix that and release that might be on the county.
Correct. Well, not might be, under a lease it would be on the
Okay,
county.
so that, to me, that's something I get my head around and understand the difference.
So they're very similar, and it's just that under a lease, the county is responsible for everything.
Right.
And under the cooperative agreement, it's shared based on, and it's not something that's firm, that if we sign the agreement and we have our division of responsibilities under the first year, it's not something that has to carry out 3 to 5 years. We have the option to, talk together and find out what's working and what's not working and make adjustments, whereas under the lease, it's all done.
Right. And Commissioner Ferguson was kind enough to send me the sort of outline of the cooperative management agreement. But it refers to a partner operation planning agreement. It will be attached to it.
Correct.
That document yet to be
Correct.
even drawn up right. So at this point, we're, I don't put the lawyer hat on now, that's where the details will be. And so y'all are looking at whether you just want to go take that next step and review such a document, see if it's what you might want to consider.
And then if you touch on the fact that you know that this is going to be, other counties will be addressing this same issue in the future.
Yeah, the reason I think ACCG really needs to step up and be involved in this is because this apparently is not going to be the last time this comes up. I asked both Karen and this morning if we might see more of these down the line, and she understand yes. So you're looking at campsites on West Point Lake, and down on Lake Fall, Lake Seminole. So, I mean, on the Georgia side of those reservoirs, we need to be prepared for this to be happening again. And, Troop County, I'm sure can step up and, I shouldn't say I'm sure, I feel certain they have the wherewithal if they choose to step up and take over. Some of those counties in southwest Georgia, it would be a struggle. So we need to see about partnering perhaps with the state park system or more than one county can come together and do it as a joint recreation under their government agreement. We'll be thinking about those things. So I'm just glad I got to hear about this one because it sounds like it's going to be an issue for other counties in the future. I'd love to see Gilmer have a document that other counties can look at to evaluate.
And Mike, am I understanding, if we decide to move forward, are you able to help us continue to oversee that document and all that?
I certainly will, but now, let me be clear, I'm not allowed to give legal advice. I know David will, we've worked together on matters before, and I know that David can handle it without, but I'll be glad to let him bounce ideas off me all he wants.
Okay. But you understanding the other county situations and how other counties, when we create this document?
Yeah, I'm looking at it, I'm looking at it from not only Gilmer's standpoint, but I perceive other counties, like I say, between here and Gulf of Mexico, having the same issues all along, because for better or for worse, the Corps seems to be getting out of the recreation business.
You mentioned,
I wish they weren't.
in terms of Eufaula specifically, those on the Georgia side. But this is not something limited to the state of Georgia, right? This will be all over
Correct.
the country.
Correct.
So my interest in it would be, I believe it's Barber County maintaining Old Creek Town. If y'all want
Is that your
to
favorite
nudge
fishing
them that
hole?
way.
Well, it's going to be, there are other areas across the country that have been investigating the possibility of going into this because they're already starting to prepare. But they have not researched, like you all have already researched Reserve America. And so for a lot of people, it is the reservation system that is the sticking point. I think you're a little bit further ahead than some, because it gets kind of scary and then everybody backs off, and I understand it is scary. But I don't anticipate that I am ever going to get, unless we have windfall somewhere, or O&B has a change of heart, Office of Management budget, and I don't see that happening either. So this is not a problem just for us, it's a problem for everyone. It's just that we, as a community, are trying to get out in front of this before it becomes a crisis.
She reminded me of one thing I might want to add is in Duffy County, if you want to make a reservation at that campground, you call the Parks Department for the county and do it up the phone. In Bartow County, you can reserve online, but it's a site maintained by Bartow County Parks and Recs. It's not a Reserve America, Reserve USA, I get confused, it's not a national thing, but they chose to do it that way for reasons that they could explain. I know y'all had other options. And did I understand that if they do the cooperative agreement, they can stick with the same reservation service in place now?
No.
Okay.
So they can, but then the fees go to the treasury and don't come back for use in the park.
Oh, well.
So they are investigating how that will work. We know it can be done, but when the contract was first let, because it's not just with the Corps, it's with all the land management agencies. And the other land management agencies have authorities that allow them to do certain things, and we just have not had those authorities. And so right now, there's no way to get our fees back to the partner through the treasury. And so that's why it is incumbent on the county to look elsewhere for reservations.
Commissioner Burks, you looked into third-party vendors that can do the online registration?
Reserve America does not charge any upfront money, and they actually let you out of the contract as a government entity. If we go into the cooperative management and we decide this is not for us and we have that 90-day out, they'll let us out of that contract as well, if we get out of the camping
So
business.
they would do the reservations and take a
Percentage, 2 point, what did I say?
fee, this fee that's added to the cost of the reservation.
Correct.
Rather than charge the county.
Correct, yes. And I like the fact that they're nationally known and they're already they're advertising for us on that site, which,
And the Corps actually had our contract with them before we went to the national reservation system for all the land management agencies. Reserve America actually is what we use.
the gentleman I spoke to said it would be a very easy transition because they already have the same maps and everything. They haven't changed their properties.
And of course, the fees of the day use areas, then we actually, I've got some information for you on the fees for maintaining the fee machines.
Oh, okay, right.
With that, that will be deposited directly into the county's treasury once we get that set up. Once the agreement is signed, that's just a matter of calling them and telling them that the location to send the funds is actually going to be a different location than it's currently for. So they do all that for you. There's a maintenance fee for each machine annually, and that's for the software, their software upgrades, and then for the handling of the funds. But again, that is paid out of the fees.
It comes out of, right.
Yeah, you all will be paying for that out of the fees.
Okay.
We'll say it's a beautiful facility. Like I say, I stayed there in late August, just so quiet, pretty nice. But I will say, I was there in the middle of the week, like a Tuesday to Thursday, and the boat ramp
And this was at which facility?
At all,
Down
and, big boats. Surprised people haul boats that big up the mountain.
It's hauling them down the mountain. That's the problem.
Any more questions for?
I don't have any questions.
I will stay engaged as all you want us to be.
Thank you, we appreciate that so much. Thanks for coming up here as well.
Okay, anything else on that? Brings us to the fun part now. Discussion of possible action on 2020 budget. I have not been successful in trimming $1 million off. I think about it, 670 or something like that. 630,000. I'm running out of places that I feel like can be trimmed, so I was gonna see if you had any thoughts.
Well, I looked through when I got these, I started looking through, I see how you trimmed from what we did last year, but, I don't have any like bright ideas or great winning things except for just to kind of continue where we are, or.
Well, the thing about cutting $1 million from the budget is the first 200 or 300 come pretty easily. And then you start really kind of cutting in places you want to cut. Do that for another 300 or so thousand. And you get to a point where, you know, I'm going through these department by department, looking at them for about the 100th time. And either I've already cut what I feel like would be to the bone somewhere, or just things I look at and think, we can't cut that. So, the one thing that we can do, and I'm trying, and we're gonna end up, I think, doing it, but I'm trying to mitigate it as much as possible, is we are at the point now where we can balance the budget by reducing the contingency line item. So, for instance, if we don't find another dollar to cut somewhere, we'd be looking at a contingency of 170,000 rather than 500,000. I think I might could very grudgingly accept a contingency of 200,000. And I've been trying to find that extra 30,000, so I haven't yet. I was hoping you'd say, oh no, look right here.
Well, I did, once you passed it on, I compared to what was spent last year, like it was probably exactly what you did and where you could cut in those numbers. I mean, we go back through with a fine tooth comb again. I didn't know what you were gonna, bless you.
Excuse me. Well, one thing that I'm really trying to maintain on this is the raises for the people that are on the extreme lower scale of our payroll. And I haven't cut there yet. Now, there's enough there to probably, well, couldn't get us all the way down, but we could make a big jump with that. But I feel like that's almost a crisis situation anyway. We've been advertising 3 jobs in the road department now for months without a single bite. And, you know, I'm confident that the biggest part of that is we're not paying much money for that. And the
Right.
people that we do have, they've got, in the road department and solid waste, they've got some of the most demanding, intense jobs in the whole county at a lower pay. I really want to correct that to some degree. You can't do it all in here. But, so far I haven't touched those two items.
I agree, I think those are important, but they have not been, and they're not. But that's an important area that we're focusing on, so making it worth their while and being able to hire someone that will take the position.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and that's the problem we're having right now, is that people who might otherwise be interested are taking one look at the starting pay and saying, don't think so. And in this case, the starting pay is pretty much just the pay, because we don't have a progression where, we may give them a little more after 6 months, but beyond that, it's just whenever we in these budget sessions decide people get raises. So,
they have no incentive to get in there and stay.
Well,
That it might get better.
if you're making, let's say $9 an hour, and you're having a tough time of it, and you have a very demanding and intense job, you'll do it, but you're probably gonna be looking around while you do it. And we lose people that way.
I have a question, and I don't know the answer to this, or if, I have no idea, we haven't discussed this or talked about this, but I know we have some upcoming meetings for the public to have input on the roads. I know that we've had some discussion in the past about the T-Splosh. If that were something that we were to do, is that something that can pay salaries as well? Or it definitely can pay equipment?
The local T-Splosh can pay salaries for your road department, not for solid waste. But what you want to watch out for there is it's a 5-year splosh.
Right, so it can
And,
be equipment.
You don't want, and raises and additional personnel are forever, so to speak.
Right.
Assuming you don't want to cut people's raises or start dismissing people.
Right.
If that were to be the case, I would be very cautious about using any of that for salaries. But there could be other things that could be transferred, making room for some salaries out of other areas.
That was just a thought that I had to help with that area.
It would be a tremendous help. I want to see what comes out of these town hall meetings. See what people want. I know pretty much what people want. They want their road paved and everything maintained and mowed and lined. What I'm hoping is that somebody can give me some idea of, okay, here's how you can pay for that. And that might be one option. Well, here's what I'm going to suggest on the budget. And I know we've got advertising that we have to do and so forth, and that's one of the reasons that we're holding this special call meeting today. So my question is, if we make a final decision at our regular meeting next week, how badly will that impact us time-wise?
Should be fine, because normally that budget's adopted probably the last week of Christmas.
Well, last year, I think we adopted it with the regular meeting
We
in
did
December.
at that meeting.
Well, that would be the goal.
That would be the
regular meeting.
what I would consider to be the oddity. Most time it's about the second or third,
Yeah.
fourth week of December.
Well, we're pretty close on it now, so what I would recommend would be, let's just keep looking between now and our regular November meeting. And be prepared to make a decision one way or another, whether it's more cuts in areas where maybe we really would need not to, or whether we decide on a lower contingency line item. But let's just understand that that decision needs to be made in the November regular meeting. We'll plan on finalizing it then, and then we can do the advertising and when I say finalizing it, just finalizing it for the advertising and so forth. And then we can actually adopt it in our December meeting.
I'm good with that. Charlie, I'm good with that.
Okay. Well, if you're good with that, that's pretty much everything on the agenda, I believe. Does anybody have any reason for an executive session?
I do, actually,
Okay.
just quick.
Okay.
I have something very important before you do that. I found someone's grocery list in the hallway. They lost it.
That is important. Anticipated action. being
No.
taken.
Oh, yes. Make a motion that we go into executive session with no action taken.
I'll second that. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, folks. Appreciate it.
So, are you in a hurry? Okay.
What's that?
Might as well.